Good morning. I hope you're having a good day. This will be my first video posted to YouTube of a Bible study, and I've been doing this for a few weeks over on TikTok and Facebook on my morning music pages. But some Bible studies can really be expanded out to be a bit more than what I can post in those places, and so I thought I would share a little bit more detail here. If you want to see some of the shorter ones, a few of the others, you're welcome to go check them out. But thought I would start posting a few here a week that are a little bit longer, and hopefully something we can think about on our walk with God. I was reading the other day the verse in Romans about being conformed to the image of God's Son. It says, those whom he foreknew, he predestinated to be conformed to the image of his Son, in order that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. This means that God did not just save us to save us, he saved us for a purpose. He had an idea in mind, and that idea was to make us one of his sons. But not just one of his sons, but made in the image of his Son. What does this mean for us? Well, it means that our life should reflect the life of Jesus. There's several verses to back this up. There's Galatians 2:20. I am crucified with Christ, nevertheless I live, but not I. It's Christ who lives in me. And the life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. Our life is not our own. Our life is God's. Our life should be like Christ. 2 Corinthians 3:18, we all with unveiled face, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from one degree of glory to another. 1 John 2:6, whoever says he abides in him ought to walk in the same way in which he walked. John 14:9 is an interesting one. Jesus is talking to Philip, and Philip has said, show us the Father. And Jesus says to Philip, have I been with you so long, and you still don't know me, Philip? Whoever has seen me has seen the Father. How can you say, show us the Father? Jesus called us to live the same way, to live a life that reflects who he is. If we reflect who Jesus is, then we reflect who the Father is as well. It's important that we're like Jesus in our actions, in our attitudes. Now, some people see this as a form of weakness. They would say, that means you don't stand up, you don't do anything you need to do. That's not true. That comes from an ignorance of reading who Jesus really was. Jesus stood his ground. Jesus did what he needed to do. But every action Jesus ever made was made in love. He stood up when he needed to, but he did so in the most loving manner possible. So the thought that hit me as I was reading that verse the other day was that made me want to study into this more was just the simple thought. When God, the Father, looks at me, what does he see? I want to live in a way that when the Father looks at me, he says, that reminds me of my Son. That's the goal for a Christian, is to get to that point where God says, that reminds me of my Son. An affirmation from God that we are living in his will. If we're like Jesus, we're living the way God wants us to. Just a simple thought for today. I hope it can be of some help to somebody. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.